Welcome, Army fans, to another episode of the Dirty Old Podcast. We've got the usual three stooges, myself, Coops, Rowsett, Gav. Say hello, you three. You two.
Hello, you three.
And then we've got Alfie.
Yes,
Obviously, you've seen Alfie on a few pods. He's come back for another episode. How you doing, Alfie?
Good, thanks.
And then you have the senior version of myself, my dad, Chris. Welcome to the pod for your debut.
Evening, looking forward to it.
Right, Chris.
Well, I'm glad you're looking forward to it because there's nothing positive to talk about.
I might get chocolate to come back on here.
Is that the only thing that keeps you happy on this podcast, Gav?
After you sent me a message before saying what we're talking about, I went out and got some chocolate. I thought, I can't go on it and talk about that shit without some chocolate.
Rousey, have you got a beer? You normally have a beer, don't you?
Do you know what? I've got two because I've got a feeling it's going to be one. It's going to be one of those casts. So the more I talk about it, the more agitated I get. So yeah, I brought an emergency beer for this one as well.
Even if it's a 30-minute pod, there's at least two beers.
Honestly, they'll be gone. Yeah, they'll definitely be gone.
Well,
sounds like a train.
I wanted to start off with a quick review, really, over looking at October overall, rather than kind of digesting. And I know we spoke about the games in October in the past, but I just wanted to look at the recent form in October. So we played 6 games in October. We won 2, we lost 3, we drew 1. I mean, we'll go around the table. I want you to sum it up in 3 words if you can. Rousey, I'll start with you.
Oh, no pressure.
3 words.
It's getting worse.
Chris?
Oh, if 3 words. Papering the cracks, because you said 3 and not 4.
Papering the cracks. Did I say 3? I said 3, didn't I?
Yeah.
I said 3. Papering the cracks is 3, Martin. Get your fingers out.
Yeah. It should be papering over the cracks, I think. But yeah, you said 3.
Okay. Papering the cracks. Okay, got you. Alfie, 3 words, mate.
Need better players.
You better players.
If you were struggling then, Alfie, you could have said dog, cat, bird. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, does it?
Or do you say Gav then?
Yeah, please.
Oh, sorry. Shit.
Oh, it's always a positive podcast, isn't it? I remember the days when we did the first 3 or 4 and we couldn't get enough of it. It's like, it's brilliant, it's great.
Yeah, honestly.
That's when I wanted to come on.
That's why we didn't bring you on. That's why we got you on now.
Yeah, you need to cheer us up.
I mean,
God.
7 points out of 18 is certainly for a team that's wanting to go up isn't good enough, is it, guys?
No, well, it's certainly not automatic promotion form, is it? You know, I think I said in the last one, although, like I said, you can get away with losing a couple of games, and it didn't mean a massive amount losing 1 or 2 games in that October period. I just felt that was a must win against the Stockport game and the Orient games. I just feel like he's losing his way a little bit, and it's the same. It's the same explanations he's giving at the end of the game. Like, we know where we went wrong. We know how to address it. We know how to better ourselves. And he's coming out, and the performances for me, they're actually getting worse. Even like the games that we've won, we've not been great in the league games. And I don't know how he addresses it. For me, I think it's the injured players can't come back quick enough, because the ones that he's putting in just aren't doing it. Then I don't know. One of the games was it Hartlepool. He tinkered with the formation like drastically and was just playing players where do you want to play this week? That's how it felt. So I don't know. Yeah, it's not good. The performances haven't been great. The games we've won, we've been lucky. And thank God for our away form up to this point, because, like I said, I genuinely don't really know what the answer is, personally.
I'm sure there's plenty to add. Anybody want to come in and add something to what Rousey's already said? Or
I think when I said before papering over the cracks, I think the Northampton game, it was a decent win, but I still thought we weren't that convincing. If there's a positive, it's that we're only outside the playoffs on goal difference.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of players to come back, but like Rousey said, we really need them players back and quick. So we're hanging on. So that's a positive. But yeah, it is getting worse. And what can you say? And I agree with Neil Wood's comments that usual thing we made a lot of chances. Well, you didn't. If you get into the edge of the area and passing it back, then they're not really chances.
Oh.
So yeah, we've got to be better. And even with all the injuries, these players should be better at this level, I think.
I think even now with us, we're desperate to try and be positive or say the right thing. And Rosie, for me, pointed out the one thing which matters for me, and that was what Neil Wood says in his interviews. And he's talking through his ass. He doesn't know what he's doing, in my opinion, from them interviews. He isn't saying what we're seeing on the pitch. So let's stop the line there and let's move on. Because for me, I think we're just being desperate trying to be positive.
Yeah.
Because there's no positives in October, really. I'm sorry.
I think you'd appreciate it more as well if you come out and went, do you know what? We were miles off the pace today. Yeah. I apologise to the travelling fans. I apologise to those that paid and watched it on iFollow. That was not good enough. The Orient game, we were. Go on, sorry, Gav. Go on.
No, I butted into you. It weren't you butted into me.
Yeah, the Orient game, we were way off the pace. We were beat by the better team on the day. Hartlepool, we were lucky, even though we won, in my opinion. We got absolutely battered on possession in the second half. And yeah, like Chris said, papering over the cracks with a cracking goal from Galbraith. But I just, even the other win, the Northampton game, at any moment they could have scored. I never felt secure in that lead. It's just, I won't say going back to like watching the Salford the last 3 or 4 years, but form-wise, that's how it's been. I feel more confident with the players that we've got going into games. Every time we ask for predictions, I think, yeah, looking at that team and on paper and the way we started the season, I thought, yeah, I can't see Salford losing a game here. Do you know what I mean? The way we're playing, but now I can't see us winning a game at the minute. The form that we're in and the morale in, like I said, just for me, we need something to happen, something to lift us up, and whether that's Mallon coming back or Nati or McElhaney or something. I don't know. I'm not lost for words, but it's just not good reading.
I'm not one to single players out or remind you whatsoever. But if I ask you a question, have you heard a post-match interview where you believe what you've seen and what he said? He's talking with honesty. He's saying what you've seen. Just I was about to add more, but just that.
I believe that when we play well and when we win, he actually speaks pretty well in terms of tactics and what he tried to do and what the players are trying to portray on the pitch to what they've worked on. But when we lose, yeah, he still says that same speech.
No, that's
and
what
it's
I'm
like,
saying.
yeah. So when we lose, it's like, yeah, well, I can see what we were doing and what we've worked on, and we know where we went wrong. Well, did you? Because again, you've gone out there and we've had shitloads of the ball and 3 or 4 shots, none on target. It seems to be like a pattern that we have lots of the ball, sideways, backwards. Like Chris said earlier, get to the final third, play it all the way back. Callum Hendry's coming more and more deeper. He may as well play in defence for us. It just, it's just frustrating.
He played back deep on Saturday. He was back in Salford.
He was. What do you think, Alfie? Anyway, talk to me. How do you feel about the last few games?
Oh, I think we should start Dackers tomorrow. Dackers and Hendry up front.
Yeah, I think there'll be some changes personally because it's the cup, but it hasn't been great. It hasn't been Coops. It's been bad. It's been bad watching.
I think, just picking up on some of the points, I think there's an element of most managers will always most good managers, and I'm not categorising Neil in any good or bad, but most good managers would always throw themselves under the bus first. So, you know, the positivity on he's not going to come out after a post-match and go, this. Most managers wouldn't do that. They'd come up trying to throw a positive spin, because they don't want to throw themselves under the bus. They don't want to draw attention to the fact that it wasn't a good performance, although you can see. He's never going to admit that. And obviously he won't be singling any players out. But this sort of comes back to how, you know, when we had Richie Wellens, you know, when he'd come out on his post-match, one thing you give him credit for, he would pretty much say, you know, it wasn't good enough, and he would go, you know, such a player, I don't think it was his best game, and he would put people in the limelight and go, you've not been playing well, and it's almost like you can protect the players so much, but that's what I get the impression of, because when you watch him play on the pitch, there's no desire, there's no heart. There's no, they just don't look up for it, and I think that's because maybe Neil was taking maybe a lot of it on his side, but ultimately it's the players on the pitch as well, and you know, I just don't think. Again, it's players coming to Salford City, and you know, whether it's money motivated or genuinely because of the journey and the aspirations, I don't know, but you know. We don't really care what they come in for. All we want to see as fans is that you actually want to come in, play for the shirt, play for the club, and give the fans what they want, and that's, you know, trying 110%. If you still lose, you lose.
What worries me about that comment you just said, which I think was perfect, was in any job, any line of business, what have you, you can rip the CV up, you can rip whoever it is. If his name's Gary Neville, if his name's David Beckham, or his name's Pelé, rip that up. What happens on that training ground through the manager and the coaches reflects what's on that pitch. If they cannot get their players reflecting what they're doing in training, the positivity, the working together, the teamwork, the fight on the pitch, is it not an issue of are they good enough coaches?
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, Gav, to your point, I think we're in a situation where there's a lot that you could probably put your finger on. You could argue it's an inexperienced manager at senior level, and that's fact. It's an absolute fact. It's not opinionated. That's fact. You've got a mixture of players. Okay, I think the signings have been better than in recent seasons, but you know, we've spoke about this before about the loan signings, like the likes of Tolaj and Jenkins, and you kind of look and go, why have we brought them in? Because we've not even brought them in to make the numbers up. Because even when we're struggling and we've had loads of injuries, you know, I'm going to use Jenkins because Tolaj has had a bit of experience, right? I read an article for like a local Leeds Gazette or something like that, and they was kind of suggesting, you know, and I had a conversation with my dad as well, saying, you know, by Christmas, he won't be here in the new year, Jenkins. I think he'd be recalled, because if I was Leeds, I'd be like, why have you brought him in? If I was Jenkins, I'd be saying, you've had all these injuries and I still can't get a game. And actually, when I played in the cup, I scored. All right, cup games, league games, different class maybe. But we've never tried him. We've never brought him on and go, there's 20 minutes. Go see what you can do. Yeah. You know, someone who's got a lot to prove. And we're just playing the same names, and you know, we're sticking by Tolaj. And okay, I don't think he's had a fair crack of the whip because he's not being played frequently. But you know, at least he's getting some game time to try and do something, and he's not done much. But I think the loan signs have been dreadful overall. You know, bring him in to strengthen the team.
I've got Jenkins on my Leyton Orient notes, and basically brought on 2 subs. And he was left on the bench. Why is he on the bench if you're not bringing him on? Why have we got him from Leeds? He's going back. Christmas, he's going back. Like I said, why the heck have we got him? If he's not good enough, send him back. If we can't put him on the pitch on Saturday, send him back.
And I think this has been the problem with the injuries as well. We've been really unlucky with injuries, I think. I know every team every club will go through a period of time in the league where you've got injuries. We've had probably 5, 6, maybe 7 players.
Been bad because they've all been key players. It's the spine of your team that's pretty much
gone. I mean, injuries. You know, probably in your starting 11, and we've had all those injuries. But the thing is, we've not only have we had people on the bench, even half the bench are not playable because Neil Wood will never play him. So you know, we're so thin on numbers.
What did we say at the start of the season about having five players on the bench who are good enough to come on, you can change your game, and the team who's got them will actually get promoted?
Yeah.
If we can see it, why can't they see it? And when you sent me a message before about injuries, and Neil Wood on Saturday, we got 7 injuries. Right, let me put a fact to you here. The last 8 years, Salford have outspent or joint outspent every football team in the league they've got on players. So we're mourning we haven't got enough players, or we haven't done that. For the last 8 years, we've outspent every team in the league for players and wages. So the excuse of injuries and our squad isn't good enough. Well,
yeah,
I'm sorry, we've outspent everyone. So if it's not good enough, there's something seriously wrong there.
and to be honest, Dackers gets 5 minutes and he's running around like a headless chicken because he's not even get a chance to bed in. What's the point?
Yeah. And if you've got Dackers, like you just mentioned them, he's running around like a headless chicken. You've got a manager who plays Matty Lund in a midfield forward. Matty Lund's good at the advanced midfield position. If he's not playing the advanced midfield position, don't bother having him on the pitch. Put Jenkins on the pitch. Full stop. Who in the right mind has the 3 at the back, Easton, Vassell and Leake? Why do we do that? Who in the right mind does that?
Who?
Neil Wood.
Hey, well, to your point, Gav, I was I had the pleasure and privilege of joining Leyton Orient podcast in the week before leading up to the game, and one of their questions was, you know, what formation you're going to play? Well, what do you think your formation? This and the other. I said I couldn't tell you because we've gone from one formation to another. I said we've even gone from having a right wing back in Luke Bolton that has now moved up the field, but now he's playing a striker. And we've moved our striker into the left wing. So I can't tell you what formation or who's going to play, because I said this after the Stockport game. It was square pegs in round holes. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was one, I think, just going back to the Stockport game, there was one run where the ball went over. Luke Bolton's got pace, and you kind of go, oh, right, I can see maybe why you've put him up front. He's got pace. But he's not an out-and-out striker. He's not got the, you know, that natural instinct of you know where the goal is, you can just have a shot. He can score goals, but he's not a striker. And you've got your kind of number 9 of what we spoke about on this podcast before. Is he a number 9? He's a good player, is Hendry, but is he a number 9? We haven't got a number 9, and that's the problem we've got. So now that we've obviously had a very positive conversation and opened up.
Can I go on now?
I told you my first beer's gone. We were only off the first section. Might need to go and get some more from the shop.
I mean, I don't think we need to sort of talk about Leyton Orient too much. I mean,
why not?
We will get into it. I mean, the scoreline 1-0 away from home against top at table. You look at it on paper, it's not a bad result. It's a loss.
Martin, they should have had about 7. It shouldn't have been 1-0. We were lucky that it was 1-0 for goal difference.
I like the look of it on paper. It looks so much better.
No.
Well, did you know on Saturday, Leyton Orient won the league?
I know.
In October.
Yeah.
Because Richie Wellings and their players acted like they won the league after a match, giving abuse to Salford fans a lot. And what fair play to them. A team 200 miles away, it means that much to you, that bitter. And I assume it's because West Ham fans look at the shoe and go, oh, there's Leyton Orient. But oh my God, they won the league. You've got to congratulate them for that.
In all fairness,
there was fireworks, weren't there, in a presentation and everything.
Yeah. Oh, the abuse the actual players were giving to the fans, actually. One of them called us a wanker and everything. It was like, wow, they were really, so well done to them, winning it, the league.
Fair play.
Well, another good fact, this was the second game in a row where we had least possession. You know, we had least possession against Hartlepool. And obviously, Leyton Orient was 60% in their favour. Shot wise, they had 17 shots against our 7. They had 4 on target, so okay, they've not had many on target, but the ones that
We
they
had
did,
6 shots. Don't give us an extra one.
we had 6.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just blame Flash Scores. It's your fault.
Yeah, Flash Score says 6 in the first half, 1 in the second half.
I reckon Neville's going to pay him, ain't he? Give us an extra shot.
Yeah, Neville owns Flash Score.
But one thing, I've looked on all the sites and I've scoured many sites, hundreds of sites for this stat. I thought every website had it wrong because it said we didn't have a shot on target, chap. So I don't know if I'm wrong about that.
To be honest, we had to use your hands as well, didn't we? Because when we started with mine to count them, then we went to Anthony's hands. So yeah, we had none.
And that's not the first time that's happened as well.
It was always going to be.
We don't have any shots because we don't have any players on the pitch because they're all injured. I'm sure that's what he said in the interview.
Well, there was 2 key points for me from that game. We talked about our form over October anyway, but going off Flash Score as I did here, 1 shot in, we were a goal down, and in the second half we had 1 shot, and that was when Lund was bundled over and it was a free kick.
Yeah.
Which wasn't on target either. No matter who's on the pitch, how can you give 45 minutes without a single shot from open play? And the second point was that we're normally having 3, 4, nearly 600 passes sometimes. We had 140 passes.
Chris,
in that game.
They absolutely outclassed us. They outplayed us in every department.
Men against boys.
That was what it was pretty much. It was bad. It wasn't enjoyable in the slightest. Not even. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Vassell's header gets it a bit lower. Just none of the shots just did anything. They never worked the keeper. You know, we got it into the box, and I don't know. It was just I just never felt like we were going to score. We were a million miles off them. We couldn't. We were just chasing shadows, and it was bad. It was really bad. I mean, I only hope, like I said, I would have wanted to go straight into another league game and put that right, but hopefully the cup might be a bit of a welcome break, and it's another week where hopefully we can get some of these players a bit closer to fitness. But yeah, that was bad, and it hurts more because that clown's in charge as well. But we are where we are.
The highlight for me, so I'll ask Alfie this question because he's really quiet. So
can't get a word in with you with all your stats.
Simons and Smith up front. What was the difference between them 3 and their 3?
Well, say it again.
So we had Smith, Simons, and Daly up front.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by watching what our players did and what have you, what was the difference between their players? And this highlights the full game for me.
Oh, they moved more. They wanted it.
And we had the wrong Smith.
They looked as though they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and pace. Every one of their players seemed to beat us for pace in every position.
Well, you look at their goal, Chris. Smith goes down under a challenge, wanting a penalty. Realised very, very quickly he weren't going to get that. Jumped up, took 2 players on, and slotted it past King. It's like, what is going on? How does that even ever happen? Ever? Baffles me, honestly.
How are we about to get a shot on target when our front 3 look as though they don't even know each other? They looked as though one was Portuguese, one was Spanish, and one was Scottish, and they didn't understand each other's language or something. They just didn't look as though they knew each other.
Is that the start of a joke, Gav? There's a Portuguese, a Spanish, and a Scottishman that walk in.
The Irishman walks in at half time and he says, Neil, he says, what's going on here? He says, we got injuries. Wow, you're not funny.
Yeah, I mean, it was disappointing. That was a disappointing goal to score. I mean, that's putting it lightly, isn't it? I mean, to waltz through the way that he did. I mean, it was embarrassing. He's played one of those goals. It's probably the most embarrassing goal you'll see in League Two football this season. I mean, in terms of who Salford are, you know, doing that against somebody at bottom of the table, all right, okay. But I mean, this is again against a team that supposedly they're trying to get promoted this season out of League Two to League One. So,
can I stick up for one person? Sorry,
Tom King.
Yeah, because I normally actually pick on people like the manager and stuff, which I don't. I just accidentally say things about him, which are quite maybe, I don't know. Yeah, so Tom King, he got quite a bit of abuse from the fans as well. And for me, he was outstanding.
Yeah.
With some great saves. He's the one who actually directs his players in front of him, who is thinking about his team, thinking about his closest player. He's always shouting, he's always giving advice, he's making sure they're ready. He's active, he's on his front foot all the time. Because he kicks it out, we give him so much crap.
Yeah.
Why on earth are our coaches not taking him on the field every bloody day of the week, sorting his kicking out? Because that's the only thing which lets him down. But I heard quite a few abusive comments towards him, and I think he heard one or two on Saturday as well, because he was like, and to be honest, I think Tom King's not a problem as a goalkeeper. He's a good goalkeeper.
No, he's a good shot stopper. I've always said that.
He kicks out a lot, but why aren't our coaches not sorting his kicking out?
The thing is, Gav, if a keeper makes a mistake, it normally leads to a goal the other end.
And with our back three, what are our back three doing? We're making King kick it more because we're passing it to each other.
Yeah.
Where's the tactics coming from? Are we making them up?
There's a place for that.
In the morning.
There's a place for that, but they do it even when their attackers are bearing down on us.
Yeah.
You know, use it wisely, but you don't have to start every attack that way because you're just putting us in trouble.
Your keeper can't kick. Don't start any attack that way.
It just winds me up every game.
Yeah.
Also, another thing, I know we can talk about the first 5 or 6 games and how good that was, obviously, when Narty was at the back. But playing with a 4 at the back, it was just Narty and Vassell as the centre halves. Yeah. And then obviously Leek came in for Narty. And then something that has had a massive impact. I'm not blaming this player in particular, but it's changed the shape and purposefully in terms of trying to fit him in the team. Was Easton? You know, Easton's come back from injury. He's been out for 12 months, and I don't know how long it's been. All right, club captain, but it's almost like he's fit, he's got to play. And what we've done is we've kind of changed everything that the way we were trying to play, to make sure Easton's in the team. And now we've gone with 3 at the back. And now I know that sometimes works, but it's almost like we've kind of changed our whole identity of how we was playing, you know, the fluid football and the attacking football. And now we've put another defender from attack, you know, pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And breathe.
Have another beer, I'll say. Go get another one.
And I've got one
again, going on that as well. If we've got issues with having a lack of players fit, with us not having shots on target, plain simple thing, you go back to 4-4-2, yeah? You go to 4-3-3 or you go to 1-5-4-6-7-8. When you're actually a decent manager, when the Continentals brought it into the UK, into England, so to say, when things are tough, when things are bad, go to the 4-4-2. If we got injuries, don't go changing it to 3 at the back just to fit Easton in and start passing the ball sideways at the back and get the basics right. If we're struggling, I don't think I'd worry if we're struggling, but we're fighting, and just go to a 4-4-2. Simple.
Easton can play at the back in a 4-4-2. He is. He's trying to accommodate him, or
Easton's better on the bench.
Yeah, it's better than Leek, I think.
In all fairness, I think beginning of the season, I think most of us was quite surprised that Easton didn't leave, and what actually happened is we kept a player who still had a long-term injury because he's only just come back in the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks or however long, and we got rid of actually the player that made the League 2 team at season in Turnbull, and it was like right, we've kept. I get club captains, but look, there's no loyalty in football. He's not fit. He's not going to be fit for the start of the season. When he comes back, is he going to be this? He's been out for 12 months.
He's got a contract. Who else is about to pay his contract to what he's got at Salford? No one in League 2.
Stockport County. That's where all our players go after they've had a turn at ours.
No, they've realised send them to Oldham. Stockport don't want them anymore. They weren't good enough in National League, so they send them to Oldham.
Yeah.
Stockport's in League 2 now. They don't want our players because they know they're not good enough.
The only player that's done well going into Oldham and come out of Oldham is Pidge at Stevenage. They're flying well. But look, anyway, I mean, I think Chris made the point You know, we're just outside the playoffs on goal difference. We're sitting 8th. There's 4 teams above us who have played a game extra. I know you'd rather have the points on the board, get all that, but it just shows that it is still tight. If we can, and we say this every game now, if we can turn it around, and if we can turn it around, we're 5 points off 3rd. And bear in mind that 3rd place is Northampton, who we have got a game in hand. So technically, we could be 2 points behind 3rd, automatic. We're 12 points off top, and I don't see us clawing that back unless something mega happens. But I think, to your point, Rouse, it would have been nice in some ways, one hand to go straight into a League 2 game and try and put it right. However, I actually think probably the break, the cup match on a Saturday,
the cup weekend,
just might come at the right time. Like you say, gives people in some of the injuries an extra 4, 5 to 7 days of an extra break. So, just before we go into sort of the FA Cup game, and we'll talk about Rochdale on Tuesday as well. I mean, we've kind of looked at the injuries, but we have obviously got some players coming back. Nate seems to be back in training.
Yep.
Mallon is back from his PGA Tour. But he's doing grass work or whatever they call it. Basically,
well, yeah, I thought no wonder he's out, because I saw the headline, Mallon's back on grass. I thought no wonder he can't play.
And obviously Shepherd's he's back doing a sort of strength and conditioning and stuff. So, and McElhenney, I think he's training now as well, and so we have got players coming back. I want to make sure that they come back 100% fit and not 90%. You know, I don't want them to get reoccurring injuries. Mostly McElhenney, because he comes back for 1 or 2 games and he's got another injury.
So you don't want the players with an history of reoccurring injuries to get a reoccurring injury.
Something like that. But we're obviously talking about Neil Wood, and obviously the form, it is bad football. But, you know, he has had a lot of first team potential starting 11 players injured. And I'm not trying to, this isn't me just sitting on the fence and, you know, I'm just trying to give different opinions. In some ways, any team that loses 5, 6, maybe 7 starting 11 players,
you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle.
You know, you're not going to do well. I think Mallon has not been a miss in some ways because he's never featured in League 2. But hopefully, going off his reputation, he should be like a brand new signing. He's going to inject a lot of more oomph into our performances. But I think Nate is the biggest one. Nate and Shepherd started off really well, and I thought last season he was a bit hit and miss, but he started off really well, and he's a massive loss. One thing I wanted to mention, I was going to mention at the end, but the biggest loss is probably BTA, you know, Asante. And I was looking at the top scorers, and Asante is still our top scorer, 4 goals. Now, he left end of August. And I've got it here, top scorers. Ready?
Ryan Watson.
So, yeah, Asante on 4. Watson's our current top scorer with 3. Leake's got 2 goals. And Hendry's got 2 goals. Leake's doing pretty much the same as Hendry. And Galbraith's got 2. Now, I would say Galbraith is probably coming into the fore a little bit. You know, with Gav, I know you've mentioned some of his performances, backwards passing stuff. But I do see there's a slight difference in his performance. He is playing a little bit more forward passes. He's obviously getting on the score sheet, so hopefully that will continue. But
look what happens when he actually hits the ball and strikes it. Look at that one for Liverpool.
Magic.
Have a go. Yeah,
magic off the boot.
Same with Hendry.
But you know what? There's one player, we talked about injuries, there's one player we haven't mentioned. I was trying to look for patterns a little bit earlier, and I wasn't thinking this player. And then when I looked, it jumped out at me. We played 17 games. Jason Lowe played 10 of them, and we only lost 1. So what do we think about missing Jason Lowe?
Yeah.
He's not a spectacular player. We're talking about McElhenney and how well Nati did, but it might be a coincidence. But we only lost 1 out of the 10 he played in the league.
It's a good spot. I mean, because he was playing that when Shepherd was at first injured, did Lowe go out onto that right wing back
Yeah, he
position?
went to
Yeah,
right
he did.
back,
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
And then
It was all
obviously
over the
he's got
place,
injured,
weren't
now
they?
he's dropped Bolton in there now. So yeah, I mean, and they have obviously a lot of impacts, and we've had to shuffle. Basically, we've gone to a third choice right wing back who's not even a right wing back. That's where we are. And then actually put our right wing back up front. But anyway, but yeah, in the 5-6 weeks that Asante's left, nobody at Salford City has equalled his goals to date. You know, Watson's the closest, 3. You know, Hendry 2. And it's this has been our theme in the last couple of seasons. In the last 3-4 seasons, we have a strong defence, although
not
that's
scoring enough.
But we're not scoring enough again. We started off really well, but we're going back into the same routine of we can't score.
And the sad thing is, Asante's he's barely getting any game time, is he? He's getting 5 and 10 minutes.
I'd get back on the
It's a
phone.
crime.
We need a lone player.
Yeah.
So
Well, he was Bruce's man, weren't he? And Brucey went about 2 weeks after he signed.
Yeah.
I bet Brucey thought, oh, I should never have come and watched my son-in-law play.
I know. Yeah.
Should have stayed at home.
His son-in-law should have never played.
Now, Gav, come on.
Now.
We have no team left if you keep putting everybody down. We're never going to get a guest on here. That's why we don't have
Why they
guests on
don't
here.
come
Because
on.
that Gav on.
Gavindra berates them all.
So yeah, we've had a lot of injuries, and it'd be good to get some of these players back and see if we can change the fortunes. But there was breaking news, weren't there, beginning of this week? Breaking news with old Gary Neville.
News.
Yeah.
Was it breaking, or was it just a
was
broken
just-
record?
It was on the
taking
chip
off and
paper,
put a
wasn't
new
it?
broken record on.
Is that him sacking himself for his involvement in the signings?
Well, there's a lot of speculation there as to why he did it. I mean, I didn't know he was actually the CEO.
I was
just thought
supposed to say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you think they'd give him a title so that he could step away from a title? Because he can't go.
Yeah.
Because he was an owner. If you don't have a title, you just sort of managing
Yeah.
the
Taking
overall.
a back step.
He's played on. Right. I'm going to leave. I need to step away from the club for a little bit to focus on other things. But what was I can't just say one of the owners leaving because I'm still an owner. I'll just call myself the CEO.
Yeah.
His missus has rang him up and said, Gary, I'm a celebrity. I'm offering you 500 grand to go to the jungle. You're going. I want a big Christmas present. Make something up at Salford. That's what's happened.
Make something up.
Magic.
That's what's happened.
Well, from what I've read, he was the CEO in a part-time capacity.
There's one thing what stuck out to me with that. I don't personally believe Gary Neville would do anything half-heartedly. So I don't think he was in a part-time capacity. I think he was a full-time capacity. And they make him a story to say we put in Nicky Butt as a full-time. All Nicky Butt's doing is what Gary Neville did. Nothing's about change.
Well, do you not?
No, I don't think it will.
No, but do you not think? Obviously, I actually think Gary. What the play mean by part time? I know what you're saying, Gav. Everything he does, he's switched on.
He puts his heart in everything. Fair play to him.
But yeah, but he realistically wasn't full time, was it? Because he was doing Monday Night Football, maybe do some Sunday punditry. Then he's got his businesses. He's not around the club on
He's
a
got
permanent
2 or 3
basis.
major
Who's around the
developments
club?
in
Who's around
Manchester.
the club 24/7 anyway? So I 100% think if he was at Sky Sports Monday night, he was on his phone on WhatsApp and he was banging the orders. He was full time there. He was.
Yeah, I think he's quite a dominant personality.
Yeah.
So I can imagine people like Scholes and Giggs just going, yeah, whatever you want, Gary, just go for it.
Yeah.
And you'd hope that Nicky Butt would say, no, I'll do it my way. But like Gav says, I think it'd be more of the same. A couple of months ago, or when United were changing manager, Gary Neville went on record. He says, United have got to have a sporting director. You've got to have a sporting director, which we knew who that is at Salford, and that's not going to change. And I think it'll just be the same as usual.
Let me put another flip on it. So Gary's missus obviously rang about the jungle. On the other form, Michael Carrick was ringing Nicky saying, Nicky, I want you to come on my coaching staff at Middlesbrough. And Gary's gone at shit, and they give him the full-time job to keep Butt at Salford.
You got some theories there, Gav. I mean,
Rolling them all off.
Well, this season,
When I go on the WhatsApp with Peter Lim later, he'll confirm it.
But you know what? We haven't seen. We sit about 5 or 6 seats away from the owners, and we haven't seen Gary Neville, have we?
Not for a
couple
while.
of games at the beginning.
He watches it on the TV and through the window.
Yeah, probably. He does come outside now and then when he's had enough, he goes in.
Yeah.
Which is usually about 10 minutes before half
Yeah,
time.
we did that against Stockport, though. We went in for a beer about 10-15 minutes from the end. We've never done that before, but it was just
I'm not sure if I've said to Rosy before. Either Rosy, it might have been Michael, whatsoever. I've said for a long time, Salford needs actually a CEO or someone who runs a club, someone actually who's previously run a football club, someone with experience, someone who knows what they're doing. Gary Neville, his first 4 years at the club, fantastic. His last 4 years at the club, as far as I can see, he's failed. Full stop. All we've done is putting Nicky Butt in. Nicky Butt's a different personality, but Nicky Butt again still doesn't know how a football club is run. The day that the CEO or whoever it is comes into Salford and says, right, let's stop being amateurs, let's stop rubbing people's backs and stuff. The committee and stuff, amazing jobs they've done over the years and stuff. For them to still be there and running the club shows that we're still an amateur club. We're not a professional club. We need someone to come in who's run a football club and goes bang, 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 and things might moving forward. We're in the football league now, and that's why we failed. In non-league, like I say, he walked it. In football league, to be quite honest, he's failed.
I think you got a good point there, Gav, because in like non-league, I think anybody who's got a little bit of common sense could go in and run a football club in a certain way.
Being roasted buying one.
But I think the class of '92 just think they've been around the United scene for many, many years. They've been around Fergie and various chief executives at Man United and stuff, and they played. Took a little bit of that, took a little bit of that, and I can make this work. But I think you're right. I think you need somebody who's a non-owner. Somebody who's come in, who's very business minded, who's come from, even if I think maybe from a football background, but even not necessarily a football background, but if you've done that role within a high end business that knows how it's supposed to be run, our ship is driven. It's having somebody in, but we'll have to wait and see. That's all we can do. We can I suppose we can moan about it, or we can praise it.
I wish Nicky Butt all the best. Like you say, he seems a lot more laid back. He doesn't seem as so he'll jump the gun. I think he'll struggle to sack Neil Wood, which at some point all managers get sacked anyway, so to say. But we'll see. Hopefully, like I said, Nicky comes in. All I want him to do, any of them, is to prove me wrong. Prove me wrong and let us be happy. Let us enjoy our team. Let's make sure that it's not just, we signed some players in January, what have you, but the toilets are clean, but the service, but the match day experience is good. It's not just, we'll put this on Twitter about, it's Solar Salford. What does that actually mean to every fan? It's actually nothing. It's useless to the genuine everyday fan. If you want to put it in the newspapers or tell your friends at big football clubs that you do this, it's brilliant. Or put stars around it and everything. But for the day-to-day football fan who goes into that ground, it doesn't mean anything to him. The match day experience is going downhill. But we've still got sick in them from August.
When you go up the stairs out of the ground from the north stand, it says something on the steps, something like, there's no elevator to the top, something you have to take the stairs, something like that.
Yeah.
And we spent half our time in League Two buying journeymen that are just, we think are going to just come in and walk it. So
a lot of good points. No, I think hopefully
I take some chill pills.
No, but I think obviously if this is Gary Neville handing the kind of the baton to Nicky Butt, and Nicky Butt's going to be the person who's now going to be saying to Gary Neville, this is what we're going to do for the club, and he's making decisions, there might be, even if it's slight changes, if he's looking through a different lens, it's not Gary Neville lens and it's a Nicky Butt lens, and the way that he, look, we've all been around people in jobs and stuff like where, somebody's decision making, you're kind of thinking in the background, I probably would have done it this way. And there's no doubt that maybe but or Scholes or something like that, has play had ideas, and it's kind of gone, oh yeah, but Gary Neville's more commanding and he's in charge, so we have to, do what he does. So I don't know what Nicky Butt can necessarily change, but maybe he'll attend the games. Maybe that'll be the change. Maybe Nicky Butt will come to a couple of games.
I reckon he's about to change your prawns to ham.
You see, Nicky Butt's not a prawn sandwich man, is he?
I don't think so.
Plain and simple, bit of cheese,
sandwich,
bit of ham,
crisp
and a
sandwich
Diet Coke.
Yeah.
And a packet of prawn cocktail.
Or Pepsi.
Prawn cocktail. Right, good. Is anything anybody want to add? Alf, anything to add on the our new CEO?
No.
Wish him all the best.
Oh, wish him the best. Hope he does well. Hope he changes the club.
The whole lot.
I'll be-
The whole lot.
Are you
Done. Complete CEO completed it, mate.
I think that's what, to be quite honest, someone needs to check. Maybe, I don't know, someone needs to check. Did Bury have computers in the 80s and 90s? Because Gary Neville's just completed 8 years as Championship manager because he couldn't as a kid.
Well,
You've got to say they've done great things for the club and the community.
yeah.
But we're getting to the point now. But we live in that taunt we used to get when they first took over, that were the rich boys' plaything, and they might start getting bored. And we're in danger of becoming that. They need to sort of, let the manager live or die by his choices, by his results.
Yeah. I agree with that. There's been too much involvement, and that's what it might be. It might be a genuine case of I'm meddling too much and getting it wrong. So
I'll put my mate Nicky in.
Well, no, it's just a face, isn't it? I like you said, Nicky's a bit more. He looks a bit more chilled from the outside, so he might just go, "Do you know what, Neil? Crack on, do your job, and if you fall on your sword, mate, it is what it is." And it might just be a case of that. Like I said, we all know by watching the documentary that Gary is very hands-on and wants to do things his way and wants to actually, to a point, play a certain style and a certain way of football. By the looks of it, he's obviously had some involvement, if not the majority of involvement in the transfers thus far. And Nicky might not be asked about that. He might just go, like I said, look, you're the manager, you're the coach, you've got your coaching staff. Who do you want to bring in? What positions do you want to improve on? So for me, I don't think it's a bad thing. He's not going anywhere. He's still one of the owners. But I think he was a bit of a tinkerer, a bit of a meddler, and I think he's probably realised that, and he's like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm getting involved too much. I'm just going to take a bit of a back step.
How not involved can you be if it's costing you £2.5 million a year?
You tell me.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
obviously, look, Phil and
As
Nicky, it's costing all them and
£2.5 million a year
Scholesy and
going.
everyone that much money. They don't seem to be as irate and as angry as Gary gets and stuff. Like I said, I just, for me, I think, like you've just said there, if he does something, he's 110% into it. So take the back step and take that involvement out of it. Yeah, look, it's costing you money, and it's probably costing quite a bit of money, but they knew that when they were coming into buying a football club. The further up the pyramid you go, the more money it's going to cost, and that's hopefully where Peter Lim will come in a little bit when we eventually and hopefully do go up a bit, up the leagues a bit more. But as a CEO, like I said, I just think he was probably meddling too much in the day-to-day running of the club and not letting people do the jobs properly. And they're probably like, come on, Gary, fuck off. Let me do my job. Do you know what I mean? Because he probably was getting involved a little bit too much. And like I said, he's probably realised that.
If that is the case, then I say fair play. If he's recognized, to recognise that and go, the best thing I can do for the benefit of the club is I just take a step back.
It might not be. It might be that he's got, like we said there, he builds hotels. He's got Sky Sports. It might just be that he's too busy and he's like, it's too much. I need to come away. He might not want to. It might be something totally different. But I don't think it's a bad thing. He's still an owner, so crack on. Yeah, thanks very much for his money and everything and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think Nicky will just let people do the jobs. Do you know what I mean? To a certain extent.
I bet Gary Neville would wish he had 11 fingers because he's got at least 10 in pies at the moment. He'd love to spare one for something
Needs
else.
some more. He needs some more digits.
Before he goes to Australia, see if we can get him on.
Gary
I'd
Neville.
love it now if he rocked up in the jungle. Honestly, I'd love it.
Yeah, I can see him now having the politic debates with Hancock.
Yeah, with Hancock.
Hancock, yeah. Anyway, okay, let's look forward. Let's be positive.
Right, come on, Mike. Crack on. Alfie's finished his drink now. Come on, we need to go. He's ready.
Alfie, let's get to you first, Alfie. We've got Peterborough tomorrow in the FA Cup. Not going to be the easiest of games. Currently sitting fourth in League One.
Yeah.
Scored quite a few goals. I think they've won the last 4 out of the 5 home games. Well, out of the last 5 home games, they've won 4 and drew 1. So, yeah. Is this going to be another Bolton Wanderers scoreline, or?
No, I hope not. I think it'll be a tough game. I think we need to change the starting lineup a bit. Start playing 4 at the back, like we said before. Leek and Vassell. Our 2 main centre backs. I think we need to switch the players up, obviously. Try and give Jenkins a chance. Play Luke Bolton in his right wing position. Looks more dangerous from there. And maybe try and just get 3 points.
Alfie, if
3 points.
Alfie, if you play with the 4 at the back,
3 points.
if you play the 4 at the back, Alfie, you say obviously about putting Vassell and Leek in the back. Who would be in that right back position then for you?
Well, I didn't think about that one.
So, I mean, I would imagine I'd rather see Luke Bolton be play further up because he's more of an attacking player than he is a defensive player. I think defensively, he's not very strong. That's not a dig. That's just not his position.
O'Brien didn't look too bad against Northampton. He didn't have a bad game there.
But then
there was an own game though. Was it Stockport? O'Brien played. He looked like an headless chicken a little bit. I thought.
I think he went off at half time, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a bad game at home. I don't know the Northampton game because I didn't go to that one. So obviously you only get like a couple of minutes highlights. So I genuinely can't comment on that game. But obviously I was at the Stockport one, and I thought he was pretty poor, to be honest, Alfie. Sorry, mate. In that particular game, don't get me wrong. Everyone can have a bad game, but I don't know. He was like falling over the ball and just passing it out and stuff. And I mean, I don't think anyone had a good game that game, to be honest. But like I said, yeah, just thought O'Brien he looked a little bit off it a little bit. Is Burko a right back? Where's Burko gone?
Left.
Is he left? Sorry.
Yeah. So O'Brien, young lad, how's he about get better if he doesn't get the games? If he doesn't make mistakes?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying don't start him, but I don't know. I don't know whether he is.
If we haven't got a right back, I think we should be starting him.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Instead of everyone else making mistakes, let him make the mistakes, but make sure he learns from them. Make sure he gets the encouragement. Make sure he gets the support. Because whoever we put him right back is probably worse than him.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Gav. I mean, because otherwise you're going back to the square peg and round holes again, aren't you? Yeah. You could put the most experienced centre midfield and put him right back and think he could do a job. I'd rather have somebody who's a right back who knows positionally where they need to be, rather than an experienced centre midfielder, or wherever it may be. So I think you're right. And again, he must be thinking, well, if I don't play now, when am I going to get a game? Yeah. So I think you're right. And do you know what? If he has another bad game and we lose the game because all the attacks come from that side and he has a shocker, it is what it is, and that's football. But
if you're the coach, and obviously he's probably the third choice right back after Law, I assume, give or take, O'Brien. Third choice, proper right back. Obviously, he's not third choice because other players have been playing there instead of him. But if you've got someone he's a young lad, he needs the experience, he needs the support. You make sure that your right midfielder, your right wing, your right forward knows that he needs to support him more. This lad is a little bit of experience. Make sure that you back him up. If you don't back him up, you'll be getting one of them in the changing rooms. Sacrifice a little bit of that right midfielder's forward creativity to support him. If you know that he's a young lad and he needs the experience. If that midfielder's running up front and then they just keep going past him, it's not necessarily his fault. You've got to manage the actual situation as well as the whole team.
I could almost see him playing for, if he'd play with a 4 at the back, I could see him playing for Vassell at the right back.
Yeah.
Which I'd rather have Vassell at centre half and say go with O'Brien on the right. Rather have one of our better, defensive players in terms of the air and the battles with the number 9. You want him there. You don't want him up against the winger. I'd rather have Vassell sort of central end working against the strikers. But it's a tough one, is it? Because I don't want to sound negative. I hope we win any team that's put in front of us, but I just can't see, going off current form, I can't see us winning this one at all. But how do we think the game's going to go? Are we going to get a replay? Maybe.
I was just going to say, I think that's what we go for. We try and
We've got our tickets already.
You never know with set pieces and stuff. You might scrape one, but off current form, it's looking like it's going to be a long 90 minutes for us.
Well, we're all. I mean, presuming he's playing as well. I don't know if he's. I presume he's playing. I've not spoken to Grant McCann to see whether his main striker's playing or not through injury or suspended. But Johnson Clark Harris is the leading goal scorer in League One, 11 goals, 2 assists.
Yeah. He'll definitely be on the bench. I don't think he'll start him. I think the position that they're in, they will make changes because they're in a very, very good position in the league and playing well. Yeah. So I think I don't think the FA Cup is priority for them at the moment. I think they'll focus on the league. I think they'll make quite a few changes, but I also think Salford will as well. I think someone mentioned earlier. I think Dackers deserves a chance. Like we've said, O'Brien. There's a few players there that can come into that team and can do a job for us and can hopefully get a result, whether it is a 1-0 or a replay. I'd take it, but just let them see what they can do for 90 minutes.
So I'm probably on my own here because I don't really care about it. Every game seems to bring another injury. I just can't afford any more injuries.
No,
they're averaging nearly 2 goals a game in League One, and I think we're on a hiding to nothing. So let's mix it up. Let's give some players some game time. Some of the players we talked about. If we lose, I'm not too worried about it. I'm more focused on the league.
I think. Sorry, Gav.
Talking about the injuries and about we're getting an injury a game, maybe it's an idea we could, if Neil Wood's watching this, and I'm sure he is.
I'm sure he is. 20
minutes before kickoff, get the team sheet, rip it up, go to the fans and just pick 11 out of the fans and get them on the pitch and let us have a kick about.
They used to have a supporters team, should call them.
Yeah. So we don't get any injuries. Let the supporters have a run about.
Gavin centre back.
That's your response, Alfie. That
I'll be number 10.
No, I think when we was in like non-league, in the National League, and we was playing like Notts County, and we played Hartlepool and teams like that. You want to go on an FA Cup journey, don't you? That's what it was all about. You get the TVs and you're there and just winning those games. I mean, if you won Hartlepool or Notts County, now you'd be like, yeah, okay. No excitement. Back then, you was absolutely buzzing when we obviously took Hartlepool all the way and we got to their place. And we should have won that. We should have won that game. Went to extra time, beat Notts County. And so I suppose Peterborough is one of those teams, and no disrespect to Peterborough. Again, it's not exciting for us. It isn't exciting for me. I'd rather have had a non-league team or just a non-league team than try and get to round 3.
Yeah.
But
the easiest possible route to round 3.
Yeah, just get to round 3.
That's what you want, don't you?
Yeah. But then you kind of get Peterborough, and it's like, oh, it's a tricky game, and it's like, But then again, I'm not. Of course, I want to go through to the second round.
Honestly, Martin, it's a game we could get something out of. They're playing well, but the way we started the league, we'd have said we should be in League One. We should be, you know what I mean? We've got a League One team really on paper, so why can't we go there and do something or get something out of the game? But the way that this podcast has gone, we're kind of like, yeah, we should make loads of changes and we should play the fucking under 13s girls team and just
on
get
your
rid of the
fourth,
FA
Stella, not your
Cup and
second?
concentrate on the league. And I don't know, we've kind of ran ourselves into the ground a little bit. We could there could be an upset there.
Yeah,
You
they
never
could.
know. You never know.
Rousey, where did you get those 4 cans of positivity
I know,
from?
yeah, they've kicked in now. Can you tell? You can tell.
Jesus.
Even
But,
your beer race, eh?
In the last
Sorry.
couple of pods, you've kind of gone, oh, I'll go for a 1-1 draw, and it's like this. And now it's
no,
like,
I'm not by
you
any
beat Peterborough.
stretch saying we're going to win like 4-0. But do you know what? Like I said, I'm ever the optimist. Me, I think we can go there and get something.
But you know what's coming now, then, don't you? Let's have some.
I'm going to say we're going to get
predictions
beat now 1-0 in the predictions, but
1-0.
on it. 1-1 Alfie,
Nah, 2-1 Salford.
2-1 Salford. Who's next? Who's going to go in early?
you got to leave me till last now, haven't you?
I'll go in because I'm going to be different. I'm going to have to say 2-0 to Peterborough.
Oh, right, he's not coming on again, Martin. He's off.
Go on, Gav.
Right, so Salford will score 1 and first.
Okay.
Then there's a twist.
Neil Wood's going to bring himself on.
If we play open attacking, no, we don't play attacking. If we play open football and we don't play defensive football and we don't try to keep in the game, we'll get hammered 4-1. If we are sensible, we fight, we waste time, we kick the ball out, we kick them, we'll get a 1-0 win.
So do we get to pick 2 scores?
No, I'm just going to keep.
Is it 1-0 Gav, yeah?
He gets greedy,
No,
Chris.
4-1.
He gets greedy. He gives you every
To them.
scenario. And then he's never wrong then, is he? We'll either win, lose, or draw.
Oh, I'll make you a draw, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going for a 4-goal thriller, Martin. I
So
think it's going to be.
hang on.
I think
Sorry,
it's going to
Rousey.
be.
One second, Rouse said, just hold it there. Gav, just reconfirm your official.
4-1.
Oh, as Alfie said his as well. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Alfie. I did a cut.
No, Alfie said his. Yeah, Alfie's gone for 2-1 Salford.
I'm getting too excited. I'm going for a 4-goal thriller. I'm going for 2-2. I'm actually. Do you want me to give you the goal scorers as well?
Tom King.
I can see it. Yeah,
Tom King, yeah.
I'm actually going Callum Hendry. I think he's going to get one.
He's injured.
I think we'll take the lead. They'll go 2-1 up, and then Dackers is going to pop up with one. Going 2-2.
And then West Brom will come and sign him.
Yeah.
You need to have a quid on that.
Well, I'm going for. I'll just go for a 1-0 because I honestly, I love to say I'll always say that we'll win and back us, but I'm going realistic and a little bit more realistic and go 1-1. Just very briefly then, whilst we're on, quickly talk about Rochdale next week. Don't need War and Peace. We've been on here for over an hour and we're all getting bored of each other, I'm sure.
No.
Rochdale away. Obviously we played.
One sec. Can we have your dad on more than you or next time?
Yeah, somebody can take over the pod, no problem.
Take over.
Somebody can take over the pod, no problem. Yeah, so obviously,
Rochdale.
yeah, well, we obviously played them in the Papa John's, didn't we? Last week? 2-2, 3-2 on penalties. Can't really judge based upon that purely because we made changes, they made changes. But surely Rochdale, I know it's away from home, 22nd in the league. Our head-to-head, played 4, we've won once, we drew 3. So it's got a draw written all over it. Couple of players to look out for though, Scott Quigley, Tyree Sinclair, and obviously our old boy, Devante Rodney. You've also got, you thought I was going to say Ian Henderson.
I was going to say, where's Endo in all that?
Threw a little spanner. But yeah, Ian Henderson is there. And is Jay Lynch still there?
No, is it
Lynch is still
Fleetwood?
there.
Yeah, Lynch is there, yeah.
Is it Fleetwood Lynch?
Was it Fleetwood? There you go. It's not at Rochdale.
Oh, I thought he was at Rochdale. Is he?
Um,
You sure, Alfie? Have you not just signed him on FIFA? Fleetwood.
No, I think he is. I think he is actually.
He
I
was
think
at
Alf is
Rochdale
right.
last season.
Yeah, Alf is right because yeah, there's a few ex-Bolton lads. You got Josh Bella plays up there, doesn't there?
Yeah,
and,
Bella.
the director, is he director of football now? Is Joe Riley and stuff. So yeah, a lot of. Anyway, we're not talking about Fleetwood. We're talking about Rochdale games. So yeah, there's not really much to say again, other than we need to start turning the form around, and you know, we need to win, really, don't we? Away. I know it's away from home, but 22nd at league, you've got to be winning those games, surely.
Well, that's what I mean. If you've got any aspirations of going up, they are must wins. You've got, you know what I mean. You've got to go there. You can't get beat. The position that we're in and the results that we've had recently, we can't really draw. Not against 22nd in the league. We need to be going, and we need to be putting on a good, strong performance and dominating the game, and doing what we did in the first few games, passing teams off the park, lots of possession, getting the goals when they matter, just killing the game off. But yeah, the way we're playing at the minute, we'll probably make it really tricky. But we should be winning that game.
Must win.
Yeah, must win. I agree with you, Alfie.
Everybody's nodding their heads in agreement.
Yeah, needs
fantastic. So here, if we go, I mean, there's not much really to say on a preview. Really, we're not gonna go into the history of Rochdale or anything, but we'll go straight into the predictions. And I'm predicting we're all gonna think 4-0. Just put 4-0 for everyone.
I hope so. Probably 1-0.
2-0.
Oh, Alfie straight in. He goes in straight away, doesn't he? 2-0. Alfie. Go on, Gav.
I think they'll
we can't have
score.
the same, can we? We've got to have a different one, don't we?
I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, so I'm getting it in before anybody else does. 2-1.
I was next, dude.
Sorry, I'm jumping in. I'm going.
You're not sitting on my knee tomorrow. So basically, I've got Neil Wood in my head now, and he's watching this tomorrow, whenever you put it up, and he's rubbing his hands, and he goes to his bar, because he's got a bar at home, no proper pub. He pours himself a pint of Stella, drinks it, Nicky Bucks on his shoulder, and he's like, downs it, puts it down, rubs his hands, and says, "That Gavin, I'm about to show him 3-0 without stuff, Rochdale. Show Gavin we know what we're doing."
Is that
Gavin
what you just seen?
Rubbish. We're about to do Rochdale 3-0.
He just sits on his beach in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Guys, I'd be quite concerned if he watches this on a Saturday morning drinking a pint of Stella.
Hey, have you not seen his tactics?
Yeah. If he doesn't, he'll soon be at that stage.
Yeah.
We're gonna play a 2-8 formation. Chris, give us your prediction.
Well, I was going to go 2-0, but that's gone. Then I thought 3-0, that's gone. So I can't see us scoring more. I'll go for 1-0. But I'd say, yeah, it's a must win, but I want to see a show of intent. I want to see us play. I don't want us to scrape a win. I want to see us play well. Their keeper can make 3 or 4 worldies, but if we're playing that well to make him do that. Do you know what,
Chris? I'd take a 1-0 if the performance just, like justifies what we're asking for. Just lots of the ball, good football.
Yeah.
Batter their keeper and let their keeper get star man. And you know what I mean? We should have been 3 and 4-0 up.
Yeah.
Not
that anybody cares, because everybody's got predictions, and
we all care what you say.
What? Sorry, Gav.
We all care what you say.
Yeah.
Your predictions. It's my favourite time of the night.
I'm going to wait for you what you say afterwards. I'll go for a 3-1 because that's the one that nobody else has had.
Well done, boss.
I would have gone for 2-0, but obviously Alfie jumped in, didn't he?
Straight in with it.
Any other business, chaps? Are we okay?
What I did like was the social media post about injuries. I commented on it because I think that more of that's needed. So if anyone from the club is listening, more of that, please, because I think that interaction with the fans and letting us know where the players are, rather than us trying to watch a video and guess who's in the fucking room with them and who's on the pitch training. Just let us know. I think we need to be a little bit more open and honest with that, because that's one thing for
as well.
for a number of years, it's bugged the life out of me that when players get injured and there's no correspondence with how long they are away. So yeah, that was a positive. Hopefully they've heard us sort of complaining about it a little bit, and that was the reason for the video. But yeah, it was welcome. So more of it, please.
Did they mention something like, "Oh well, we don't want to be telling opponents when our players come back"? It's like, oh come on.
Like, just get on with it. Just let us know. Even if they lie and say he's 8 weeks off and then the lad comes back in 6 or whatever. But like the Mallon injury, I didn't think that, or certainly Richard Narty, I'd thought, well, yeah, he limped off. He'll be back in a couple of weeks. It's been like 2 months. Just let us know where they're up to.
Stevie Mallon said to me and Alan against Mansfield, be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Mallon's been out for 3 months or something.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on?
Outfit, the PGA Tour didn't finish till last week though. So
His PGA Tour with Callum Hendry.
He's been in talks with Live Golf.
No, but you're right. And I kind of like those videos. You get to understand the player as a person as well. And I like where they've got the players going off to certain places around Salford and stuff. It's better than what they've done in the past.
Yeah, no, it's getting better. That's what I mean. It's not a criticism. I liked it.
But we need to football. I prefer us to just play good football with all these stupid fucking videos.
No, but on the injury front, I'm not bothered whether it's a one-to-one, like half an hour interview with a player, but the actual video in itself and what it was there for was to let everybody know that he's back in training. It's good. Just let us know. A couple of pictures. Mallon's back on the grass.
Pop your address on the road. We'll send them round here.
What's that?
Pop your address on after. We'll get the players come round.
Not a problem. They can have it. Yeah, they can have it.
Hey, Rouse,
if you want.
I thought there was a headline coming there. Mallon's back on the grass with his tractor, cutting the grass for the boys on Saturday. Oh, right. On that note, guys, I'm going to get some food because I've not eaten. So thanks for coming on, everyone, and giving your opinions and discussions. Hope all the fans, the whole 100 people, listen. Hope you find it interesting.
We're averaging the same attendance as Salford. Away day, aren't we?
Happy days. Maybe it's all the away fans listening to it on the way down. And if anyone is travelling down to Peterborough, have a safe journey, enjoy the game, and obviously Rochdale as well next week. So enjoy, chaps, if you're going, and see you next week.
And good
luck, guys.
Cheers,
Good luck to Nicky, but let him prove us all wrong.
There you go. Words of wisdom from Gav on the last bit there.
And have a pint of Stella in the morning.
In Neil and Nicky we trust.
Fingers crossed.
See you later.
Cheers.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks.